today's proceedings. As we gather, we are reminded that the town of Bonnyville is situated on Treaty 6 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and is the traditional homeland and home to First Nations and Métis people today. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, and all First People of Canada whose presence continues to enrich our community. I would like to start with a reminder to all to join us outside at the flag at 11 a.m. for a moment of silence in memory of all those who have died and been injured due to worksite incidents. I would like to start the day by calling Pastor Charles Reed to conduct today's prayer.
Thank you. It won't be a sermon, I promise. Every year on April 28, we pay our respects to and remember thousands of workers who have been killed, injured, or suffered illness as a result of work-related incidents. We also honor the many families and friends who have been deeply affected by these tragedies. Please join us in a prayer as we remember those affected by workplace accidents on this National Day of Mourning. Loving God, we often witness tragedies that do not make sense to us. Today we remember those who have been killed or injured in the workplace. These men and women are mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, sons and daughters, friends and neighbors. May the families and friends of these victims be comforted by the loving support of others. As we remember the lost and injured, help each of us to commit to workplace safety and health so that all places of work are life-giving and free of unnecessary danger. Protect each of us in our work each day. We ask this prayer through Jesus, the risen one. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Reed. Next, I will call on Deborah Martin to deliver today's safety message.
Thank you. National Day of Mourning. We remember workers who have died, were injured, or became ill from their job. We commit to protecting workers and preventing further workplace tragedies. Marked annually in Canada on April 28th, the National Day of Mourning is dedicated to remembering those who have lost their lives, suffered injury or illness on the job, or experienced a work-related tragedy. Observance. The National Day of Mourning is not only a day to remember and honor those lives lost or injured due to a workplace tragedy, but also a day to collectively renew our commitment to improving health and safety in the workplace and preventing further injuries, illness, and death. The latest numbers are from 2021, which state 1,081 fatalities in Canada. 1,009 of those were male workers, 72 were female workers. Among those deaths were 18 young workers aged 15 to 24. In 2022, Alberta lost 161 people to workplace injury or illness. And in fact, these stats only include what is reported and accepted by the Workers' Compensation Board. There is no doubt that the total number of workers impacted is even greater. It is not just these numbers in which we need to reflect. With each worker tragedy, there are loved ones, family members, friends, and co-workers who are directly affected, left behind, and deeply impacted. Their lives are changed forever. We will remember you.
Thank you very much, Deborah, for those insights. Next up, please welcome Town of Bonnyville Mayor Elisa Brasseau to deliver this year's proclamation.
Good morning and welcome. Today is the day to pause and reflect on what it means to have safe workplaces for our employees and how we can work to prevent workplace injuries. It is also a day to remember those who have lost their lives or suffered injuries due to their work. When a third of our lives are spent at work, I think it is only sensible for employers to do what they can to ensure an employee returns home to their family and friends unharmed. Thank you to all those who have joined us today for this celebration. Whereas on April 28th, 2019, people across Canada will recognize the day of mourning for all workers who have been killed, injured, or disabled at their place of work. And whereas it is with deep sadness that 178 workers in Alberta died as a result of workplace injury or illness in 2022. Whereas on April 28th, 2023, the Town of Bonnyville, MD of Bonnyville, and City of Cold Lake will join Albertans in remembering those workers injured or killed on the job and honor their memory by committing to work together to prevent workplace injuries. Therefore, I, Elisa Brasseau, Mayor of the Town of Bonnyville, do hereby proclaim April 28th, 2023 as National Day of Mourning in the Town of Bonnyville. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Brasseau. I am now going to invite Cold Lake First Nations Chief Kelsey Jacko to come up and say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. It's really dear to my heart. And when people go to work, we want them to go home safe, to their families. We had incidents where some of our members, they didn't make it home after a shift from work, and I felt it firsthand. It really affects a lot of people, community, family. It's sad. Like a lot of these deaths are preventable. So moving forward, hopefully we can discourage deaths from happening when they go into work, because it really hits home. It hits everybody, It's something we strive for as a nation, to have safety at work, putting our people to work. But at the end of the day, we want them to go home to their family, because they're loved, and they try the very best for the people that they support. So I'm here to give everybody support, National Day of Mourning. And I really felt it hits hard. So there's not much more I can say. I'm here to support everybody, So thank you, everybody. And when people die, reach out, support them. That's what we're here for, to show people that we're here for them. I can't really say much more. You guys said it all, but I got asked to say a few words, so I said them. So thank you, Masi.
Thank you, Chief Jacko. I will now invite City of Cold Lake Mayor Craig Copeland to come up for a few words.
Well, good morning, everybody. On behalf of City Council, I just want to first off thank the Town of Bonnyville for hosting today. Great to see the chief here. That's awesome. Our region is actually pretty dangerous place when you look at all of the different activities up in Cold Lake with the fighter base, but in the oil patch and farming industry, forestry. It is a unique spot that we are in, and so it's, I've been in the area since the early 80s, and I must say that the workplace safety programs, not only, during my time as mayor, but just I think all the different companies and industries and municipal governments and First Nations and settlements, safety has become a paramount program. When you go on a workplace, very often each company would have, of 100 employees, they'll have 2 or 3 safety people with the company. And, I think it's important. I mean, where my office is at City Hall, the sign is right there for how many people that have been near misses or incidences. And, really proud of the safety program that the City of Cold Lake staff have introduced. The city got its core, which I've had the pleasure of doing with the provincial government hat on my other part of my life. And it is no easy task. And so, safety is very important, like the others have said today. We want everybody to return home after each shift, and so it's significant. And I think our country's doing a great job towards safety on the workplace. And I just, with all the first responders here, thank you for everything you're doing out there. We'll someday have a better safe highway for you to travel on, but thank you. And we had a big fire last night in Cherry Grove, and our hearts are to those people at that church for a significant loss last night. But it was all the first responders that risked everything to try to put that fire out, and that should be recognized. So thank you for letting me say a few words, and thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Mayor Copeland. There's no one here from the MD to make a statement today? No, okay. On this day of mourning, we remember those who have passed due to workplace incidents and illnesses. In my capacity as a safety instructor and in my personal life, I encounter many people who have experienced workplace injury or illness, or who have lost loved ones to workplace incidents. One thing that I've noticed is that most survivors are not usually open to talking about situations beyond the incidental conversations. How are you? I'm doing okay. I hope you get better soon. Thanks, me too. My condolences on the loss of your person. Thanks, it's rough, but we're getting through it. One thing that people with these experiences don't often open up about is the secondary consequence of injury or death and the mental issues that follow. Losing a loved one is a traumatic experience, but the long-term consequences are often understated, like not having a father to teach their kids to play catch, not having a mother to help her daughter at her wedding, not having grandparents to visit with, or aunts and uncles to spill family secrets and stories that the parents won't tell their children. The loved ones who have to continue living, when are they expected to restart their lives? Immediately? If it's a young parent recently widowed, that's pretty much required. Do they need a month to recover, or a year? When does the widowed spouse start to think about moving on, dating, remarrying? Is it acceptable yet? Do they want to move on yet? Are they feeling pressured to move on? Are they feeling pressured not to move on? Those people who experience life-changing injuries, we hear about the recovery process, but what about the long term? Cancer 10 years after the exposure. The hip issue that was deemed to be healed, but 15 years later it always hurts. The lower back issues, the loss of abilities to enjoy what they used to enjoy. Concussion issues that creep in years later, leading to issues like, bear with me on this one, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Medical people, did I get that one? Close. In the sports world, they call it CTE, and this is very common, NHL, NFL, common things that we're talking about now. These secondary consequences are often overlooked, misunderstood, and minimized by those who have never experienced them. But they are often root causes of mental and physical issues in those survivors. These issues boil down to a common prevention, which is prevention. My dad passed away in 2020, but he left his legacy to me with a phrase, and anybody that's taken my safety courses has heard this: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The meaning, it's always easier to prevent it from happening than it is to deal with the aftermath. Recognition and understanding of hazards, controlling the hazards prior to starting a task, not cutting corners in completing the task. These are ways proven to prevent the losses and the secondary consequences, at home and at work. This is how we honor the memory of those who have been lost or injured, learn from it, and prevent the repeated experience. Let the legacy of those lost and injured be your safe choices. With that, on behalf of the Lakeland Regional Safety Committee and the Town of Bonnyville, I would like to thank everyone for attending today's memorial. Also, a special thank you to the volunteers and sponsors who make this event happen every year. Please join us outside for a flag lowering, followed by a moment of silence at 11 o'clock, and a reminder that there is coffee and muffins back inside here to follow the flag lowering. Thank you very much.